Good evening and welcome to the August 6, 2026 regular council meeting beginning at 7:30 p.m. Tonight we'll be led in prayer by Pastor Keith Reisner, and if you'll remain standing for the pledge after his prayer.
Well, let's bow together. Our Father in heaven, we come to you this evening with hearts that honestly still rejoice over the fact that this has been the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, of our independence, and yet, Lord, also of our dependence upon you. The Founding Fathers understood the importance of victory would only come as we rested upon you and your providence. So, Father, we just continue to rejoice in that. And we know, as has been spoken, that we need your wisdom here on the local level. And God, we're thankful that wisdom really just involves seeing things from your perspective. We pray, God, that you'll help all of us to see further than just our own personal perspective, but that you'll help our eyes to be open to see things as they are. So, Lord, we acknowledge our need for you, and we praise you that you're not begrudging about giving wisdom, but for those who ask, you are glad to give. So we rejoice in that. We rejoice that you delight in mercy, and God, we pray for your mercy. Help us to be dependent. Now, Lord, we thank you for our community. There are so many things that Lord, we just rejoice about. So many things that probably we take for granted most of the time. But Lord, you've really blessed us in a multitude of ways. We thank you for it. We thank you, Lord, that school's just about to start up. The life-changing experience for so many students and even parents. It's life-changing as school gets going again. We pray for our school in our community and pray for their new director, Jeff Madden, and ask your blessing upon him. Now, Lord, for the city council meeting tonight, for the deliberations, we just ask you for divine guidance. Bless all those that speak and help them to share honestly their thoughts. We ask your blessing upon this time tonight. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher.
Here.
Ms. Montgomery.
Here.
Mr. Prophet.
Here.
Mr. Nichols.
Here.
Ms. Butts.
Here.
Mr. Rourke.
Here.
Mayor Perry.
Here. All right, tonight, number one will be presentations, and because of a lot that has happened this week, I had Matthew put together a presentation on what's been going on in the area. Mr. Masisklis.
So you will forgive me. Began working on this yesterday. So if there's any unanswered aspect to what I'm going to be discussing, members of council, please feel free to interrupt me and ask either now or over the course of this coming week or after the meeting, of course. But one of the developments that there has been a lot of items, as Mayor Perry stated. One item that came up in the last couple days really was Madison Township on Monday, at the same time I believe as a special council meeting here, had passed a TIF legislation which essentially over the same properties that we are discussing potential annexation, they passed a TIF to declare certain improvements a public use, as well as paving the way for development in that area should annexation not occur. Now, before I speak about the entire property, the project, and what their decision has been overall, I did want to say this, that the trustees of Madison and St. Clair Township are pursuing actions that they believe are in their overall best interest of their township operations and their residents due to the oaths of office that they have taken to their citizens, much like the oaths of office the city council has taken to work in the best interest of the city. So Madison and St. Clair are performing the same actions in their best interest of their residents as you all have taken your oaths to do. So discussing the reality of economic development, though. I will again state this presentation is mostly to inform the public of the nature of ongoing TIF issues related to the AWS data center project. There are many other details that we have been discussing with the townships on how the AWS project would provide mutual local benefits and be held to strict zoning and development standards, which also include upfront community benefit payment. This presentation does not specifically address those other topics, but TIF is a portion of those discussions that we have been having with township trustees over the past couple of months. And I do understand, Council, that many residents have expressed to you the belief that stopping the proposed annexation or banning data centers within city limits will stop the proposed AWS development along Wayne-Madison Road. Unfortunately, that's just not how property rights, economic development, or the overall situation works. The unannexed farms are in county and township M2 zoning, which is heavy industrial, specifically allowing telecommunications facilities, metal or chemical manufacturing, gas generation, meat packing, tar distillation, and a host of others. The evidence that I will present in the TIF legislation indicates that both jurisdictions are actively preparing for the data center project. The difference is not whether the development occurs, it is under which jurisdiction it occurs, what taxes they pay, how the revenue is split, and what standards they are held. So I'll start, I've used the word TIF a lot, and I have given some overviews about what TIF is. I'll hone in on about what specifically these TIFs are. TIF stands for tax increment financing. It is essentially displacing revenues from new development, redirecting them for infrastructure-related purposes at the discretion of the creating authority. Now, here I'm not claiming that any recent actions of either township are in conflict with their desire to serve their constituents. TIFs are not overall bad. They promote public amenities, they promote infrastructure, they do serve the community. However, certain aspects of TIF can leave communities bearing the burden to pay for items normally borne by private developers. Additionally, one type of TIF does limit the financial benefit of incoming developments to school districts. TIFs are used to facilitate and capitalize on incoming developments by funding infrastructure primarily. Trenton does have several 30-year, 100% TIFs around town, most notably in the existing industrial park in Trenton Square. So the first TIF, I believe, was for Carvana, and then Shape Corp was later added, the Prologis site added after that. None of those included private development compensation. Those were TIFs. The revenue went directly to the public TIF fund, and we have used those on park improvements as well as toward the water tower. TIFs do stick to parcels based on the initiating entity, even if jurisdiction borders change. So Madison Township did start the process to initiate a TIF. If jurisdiction borders change and annexation occurs, the type of TIF that, assuming they do ultimately follow through and pass it, would stick with their parcel, because an expedited annexation does stay within township limits, even though it would also be contiguous with the city limits. There are two main types of TIF. So I stated that Trenton has several 30-year 100% TIFs. There's also a 10-year 75%. Now you would think that 30-year 100% TIF is like way more impactful than a 10-year 75% TIF, and it's way more. You know, you're directing 100% of taxes away from school districts into this special fund. That is not realistically the case. So a 10-year 75% TIF redirects 75% of the total incoming property tax on a new development for a period of 10 years. Schools get none of the TIF revenue. They do get 60% of the remaining 25% value that is not TIF. So, and I say 60%, they don't get 60%. They get their millage, which is usually between 55 and 65%. Right now, it's 63%. I just used 60% because it's a rounder number. But it's whatever their normal millage is. So they get 60% of the 25% of the value that is not tipped. The county and township levies also get their share of the 25% untipped property. The 75% value that is basically being reduced from the schools and the townships and the county levies go directly to the township for their TIF, which is an infrastructure, but infrastructure is very broad. They can also use it for fire facilities, and also public parks, sidewalks. It's not just, people say infrastructure, you think roads and bridges. It's a little bit more broad than that, but they can use 75% for those purposes. And that gets, again, the biggest impact is, of course, to Edgewood School District. Now, a 30-year 100% TIF is a little different. This TIF redirects 100% of the incoming property taxes on a new development for a period of 30 years, except the schools receive their full millage rate on the entire 100% of that capture. So the city gets the 100% in their TIF. Immediately we have to pay the schools their portion. Like I said, right now it's 63%. It's usually around 60%. The schools get their full portion. And that's how the Carvana and Shape Corp and current Prologis TIF work. The city receives those and sends it to the schools immediately. The auditors for the last couple of years pre-split the TIF. We did agree to just let the auditors give the schools their amount up front. The auditors don't want to do that anymore, so we're just sending it over. We do have, so essentially the 10-year 75% is a little bit more contentious because you are actually affecting the other levies significantly, specifically the schools, which is why we do avoid them. So the type of proposition, the type of TIF that Madison and St. Clair have proposed is that 10-year 75% TIF incentive. This TIF, again, does not compensate the local school district. The TIF is not enacted to prevent development. It is a financing tool used to facilitate and support construction by funding public infrastructure improvement. By proposing this TIF, the townships demonstrate that they are preparing to accommodate the AWS project. Now, I will say I only know for certain that Madison has initiated the first step of filing a 1075 TIF because St. Clair doesn't post their public meetings. I do, however, have that draft language from St. Clair, which is consistent with Madison. To be clear, Madison has not actually filed the TIF, but they did begin the process, which does involve a notice to Edgewood City School District and Butler Tech. Neither of those entities have to agree. They just have to be noticed 14 days ahead of time.
I believe, wasn't the school notified of both of them?
I met with the school treasurer 2 days ago, and they had not heard about it.
Okay.
If they were notified we met with them Tuesday morning. They were in the dark. And
Okay.
Monday night is when this resolution was passed by Madison. I don't know when St. Clair passed there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is that Board of Education notice. So this is the draft from St. Clair Township. See if I can get a laser pointer here. No, I can't. It's essentially what it states is, if approved, the TIF resolution would exempt 75% of the further improvements on the property from real property taxation for a period of 10 years. In each case, more particularly, provided this TIF resolution in accordance with Ohio law. The estimate aggregate value of further improvements is $690,250,000. So that is what they believe the incoming development will be worth on that property. Now, I will say, a lot of people see that exempt word and think, oh, they're giving a giant tax break. That's really not the case. In terms of TIF legislation, the word exempt really means divert. It doesn't actually mean exempt. They're still paying the full bill. So AWS would be paying the full bill. It's just, instead of it going to the property tax pool, it goes to the TIF pool. So when you're seeing this, Madison Township, St. Clair, they're not saying they're trying to exempt property taxes. It's a diverting. And that's how all TIFs work. this is the actual draft TIF resolution itself. So the second whereas, current and future owners of the parcels, each owner and collectively the owners intend to develop the parcels by constructing and installing certain commercial or industrial improvements and related site improvements thereon, and otherwise improving the parcels collectively known as the project, and then a few other whereases. But toward the bottom, does state, the board has determined it is necessary and appropriate and in the best interest of the township to adopt this resolution in order to facilitate the project and finance the public infrastructure improvements. So this is the actual TIF language. Again, this is not what was passed. What was passed was to notify the school districts, which they have to give 14 days notice, and then this resolution would be next. Once this resolution, assuming both townships pass, there is something called a DTE 24 form that activates that TIF. And then when development occurs, the increase in value is captured within the TIF, and those new funds are diverted in the 75-25 manner. This is another couple sections of that TIF. So section 2, it is hereby declared that 75% increase in assessed value is referred to as an improvement as defined by RC 5709 73A2, shall be public purpose and exempt from real property taxation. Again, exempt means diversion for a period of 10 years. So this is stating that this is the 10-year 75% TIF, not the 30-year 100%. Requires the owners of the parcels to make annual service payments in lieu of taxes with respect to further improvements. So that's the insinuation that the owner does still have to pay. It's not actually exempt. They do still have to pay. It's just to the TIF fund. Toward the bottom there, that middle part of section 4, deposit into the TIF fund from time to time may pay any costs associated with public infrastructure improvements approved by the township, including but not limited to the cost of permanent improvements. And they reference the ORC and what those are about. Upon dissolution, any incidental surplus money remaining in the fund shall be transferred to the Township General Fund as provided in Revised Code 570975F. So that's after the 10 years. Any extra money that the township has not spent on infrastructure goes to their general fund. Again, this is a positive, operational tactic for the townships. Trenton's TIF plan is a little bit different. So I did state that this is property that is currently expected to be annexed within the city, and we have discussed Trenton's TIF plan with both of the townships several times, and some other mutually beneficial options. So Trenton's TIF plan is that 30-year 100% tax increment financing without incentive. So we are not promising any of these infrastructure funds can be spent by Amazon to do whatever improvements that they would need done, meaning widening roads or installing water lines. I don't believe that the townships would offer that incentive. However, the door is open. With our negotiations, we don't offer TIF agreements. We haven't. We don't. I don't intend to. We would have to be given a very strong reason to give an actual TIF agreement, as opposed to the TIF separate from a TIF agreement. TIF agreement, we are pledging the actual funds to the private development, which many communities do, and that is also a pretty controversial decision. So within the 100% 30-year TIF, the school district gets their full 60% of their total bill. Trenton has offered 4 mills, which is about 7% of the total bill, to Madison and St. Clair Township during the full TIF period, even though that property would be annexed into Trenton and served by Trenton Fire and PD. Of course, mutual aid is still effective on our parcels, regardless of the jurisdictional boundaries. But we are, in those negotiations, we did declare, this is our primary responsibility. This is the city of Trenton. These would be businesses operating in the city of Trenton. However, we do want to cut the townships in to support their operations, their neighboring operations, which would be, again, 7% of that total tax bill.
Matthew,
Yes.
is that 7% each, or is that 7%?
7
between the
total.
two?
I'm kind of conflated because Madison Township is a separate parcel than St. Clair Township. So it would be 7% in the Madison Township area goes to Madison, 7% in the St. Clair Township area goes to St. Clair. But yeah. Breaking those out into real numbers, I'm using an overall hypothetical of they did state in their declaration of value I think it was 690 million just in the St. Clair side, or maybe it was the Madison side. But for the purposes of this hypothetical, it's 50 million in land value, 500 million in building value, evenly split between Madison and St. Clair Township. So this table is not intended to accurately reflect the particular development, as I haven't had real time to put the township proposition into a full model, but this does show numbers in a similar ballpark. The townships collectively, in their statement of expected values, do show at the very bottom there this $1,317,750,000 expected value. So in the leftmost, let me see if I can get a laser pointer on here, because this is kind of bugging me. No. One moment. Now there's just two. You'll move the slide. Okay. All right. So in the left section, that is essentially the Trenton plan with the $550 million, the hypothetical figure. On the very left column, Edgewood Schools would be benefiting to the tune of, and this also, for simplicity's sake, this depicts all buildings constructed for the full 10-year capture period from the first taxed year, and the township plan is also no annexation. Technically, annexation could still occur with the township tip having priority staying effective on the property. So that scenario is not really shown here. But also only properties from the most affected TIFT entities are shown. This does have effects on the libraries, the metro parks, and then the various county levies, Board of DD, inside millage, all of those. But those aren't as heavily affected as these areas are. So on the left, this is the Trenton proposed 30% or 30-year 100% TIF. Edgewood Schools gets about $6.5 million a year. Trenton gets just under $4 million a year. And I'm also only showing the 10-year period that compares to the township proposal. St. Clair and Madison Township, even though these properties would be in the city of Trenton, would be receiving those upfront community benefit payments that we have been negotiating, as well as 4 mills on each of the properties. So just under $400,000 a year to each of those. Butler Tech, also being a school district, are due their full amount. So that's $371,000. The township proposal, that 10-year 75% TIF, basically cuts Edgewood and Butler Tech down to a quarter, because 75% is exempted and goes to the townships, cuts them down to a quarter. Madison Township and St. Clair Township do receive that full benefit, those 75%. And then for the 10 years. From 2041 to 2060, that would be the 30-year TIF in Trenton's proposal. Those numbers would still remain the same. And then in the township perspective, you would see then the Edgewood Schools column goes back up to whatever they would have otherwise received at $6.5 million. The townships go down because they're not getting the 75%. And then Butler Tech also goes up to what they would have otherwise received. So the answer here is really, there are 3 paths forward. And it's not saying that the city of Trenton really has any control over which path ultimately occurs. But based on the resolutions that are being presented to the townships, we expect 3 paths forward. 1, AWS is built in the township per the township TIF. 2, AWS is built in Trenton per the township TIF. Or 3, AWS is built in Trenton per the Trenton TIF. And now we don't have any control over whether it's 2 or 3, because if the townships institute their TIF, we're kind of dealt with the cards that we have, assuming that the annexation does continue. We'll state for context here, the 6-month Butler County moratorium has already passed 2 months and can be repealed at any time. And additionally, per ORC 519.12J, township zoning amendments may be immune from public referendum on mega projects. So if this is deemed a mega project, the idea of a township zoning referendum combating the potential data center, if it's held within the townships, is a moot point because they are protected as a mega project classification. So overall, kind of the summation, we do believe, at least it is my advice to council, that no annexation does mean an overall economic loss to the entire community, and not just the city of Trenton. It is also to Edgewood Schools, and ultimately, we do believe to the townships as well. The city of Trenton, without annexation, cannot require local labor involvement on the project. Townships also can never do this because they are creatures of statute. Construction firms would not be required to withhold any local income tax, nor file nor pay net profits tax. AWS would not be required to withhold any local income tax, which would otherwise be shared 50-50 between Trenton and Edgewood Schools. Because of the nature of any CRA agreement, we would have to share 50-50 our income tax with Edgewood Schools. AWS would also not be required to file and pay net profits tax if they're in a township. Now, I will state there's a small caveat to the withholding tax. There is a way to get withholding taxes via what's called a JED in a non-annexed area with township approval, but that subject has not really been thoroughly discussed. And townships would have to approve to a Trenton JED within their own territory and be receiving a portion of that if the withholding, they do want to go with the withholding. We'll go over the benefits of the annexation. Townships cannot require connection to metered public water and sanitary sewer. Again, creatures of statute. Our city charter does require it. Connecting to metered public water and sanitary sewer. Utility tap fees, paying to further enhance the system-wide infrastructure without rate increases. Preventing AWS from directly accessing the aquifer and pursuing a wastewater discharge permit. This is a big one, a sticking point. Accessing the aquifer means private wells. I'm not saying that AWS would want to do that if they're in the township. Maybe they do like the stability of a public water. However, we do know right bordering us is what Miller calls the Trenton Brewery. It is outside of the city limits of Trenton. They have their own wells. They don't pay city taxes. They pull however much they want. We don't know. There's no meter. We don't sell them water. It's their operation. The same standards would essentially apply to this project if it's not in the city limit. We also have city-mandated stormwater fees and management standards. Not saying the county doesn't. The county does, but ours are a little bit stricter. We also have increased landscape buffers. We have an 8-foot high required berm, additional setbacks. We have tree lining requirements and noise standards, which we would hold in a development agreement, 65 decibels during the daytime, 50 decibels during the nighttime, which is it is significantly lower than the M2 zoning standard. We also have coordinated planning for roads, utilities, police, fire, and long-term growth. And lastly, the construction entities and AWS must file and pay payroll net profits tax to Trenton. The AWS portion, once the facilities are constructed, does get shared with Edgewood Schools. So ultimately, we do have some takeaways. Essentially, whether annexed or not, the township's 10-year 75% TIF indicates that they are preparing to host AWS and to limit the economic development benefits to Trenton, Edgewood Schools, and Butler Tech. Stopping annexation or banning construction within city limits does not, to the understanding of the information we have now, does not stop development. So the practical choice then is whether development occurs under township or city governance and which framework provides greater public benefits, infrastructure investment, and protection. And that's the spiel.
Thank you.
If you have any questions over the course of the next couple of weeks, or if any of the public has questions, my email is on the city website. My phone number is there as well. Please reach out.
So this was the first time we could share anything concrete with you. A lot of the things were happening that we weren't able to because they weren't public, but now with that being available to the public, I believed it was time that everyone got a little more of the full picture that was going on behind the scenes. So I'd like to thank you, Matthew, with that. And any questions from council?
No.
All right, we'll go to approval of minutes. Number 1 are the minutes of the July 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting. And number 2 are the minutes of the July 23rd, 2026 council work session. Do we have any amendments to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. We pass the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Councilman Nichols and Councilman Croucher. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Profit?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay. We have no consent agenda nor correspondence, so we'll go to audience of public. To keep the meetings to a reasonable expense to the city and preserve decorum, the following rules shall apply. We will not attack members of the public or council personally. Both will be addressed as a whole and not individuals. While comments are open to all, taxpayers of the city of Trenton and sign-ups using their legal name are first to have the floor. The person speaking has the floor. During their time at the lectern, no one else shall speak. After the speaker has finished, council or staff may answer any questions if they wish. While there is not a set time, please respect the time so we have everyone speak that wishes to. Council and staff will not answer theoretical questions. If litigation is mentioned, it will go directly to Mr. Zipfel. No comment will be made by staff. And I will ask council if they would like to respond to every speaker when they have concluded speaking. And finally, as at the last meeting, it is your First Amendment right to say what you please while you are at the lectern, as long as it's not threatening to anyone else. But there has been requests that we keep the swear words to a minimum. So I would thank you very much if we please do that. And we'll start off with Amy Humbert.
Hello, council. First, I want to thank the city council, mayor, city manager, Mr. Zipfel, for upholding my First Amendment right and right to free speech, because your rules of decorum for this meeting don't trump my First Amendment rights. What I would like to say first is I was at the water park today, which I enjoy with my grandchildren, but I'm going to ask the city to ban electric bikes and electric scooters because my grandchildren were almost run over by 2 of them today walking down the path. The kids ran through the park, through the gymnasium stuff, and then through the path. So we didn't even see them coming. So I'm asking that you ban those from that and that you have maybe frequency of running through to have it observed. The next thing, I just find it interesting that the Trenton City Council is spending so much time and energy, effort, money, trying to stop United States citizens of Trenton, Ohio, from using the democratic process, something that's provided to us by the Constitution. It appears council's very upset at the fact that we're not just getting away with, that you're not just getting away with what you want. You have people actually fighting against you because we don't feel you're listening. You don't like it. We understand that, but we don't like what you're doing. You'll take any measure you can to make sure that we don't succeed. And then after hearing Mr. Masiskalis's presentation, it appears the city council only cares about the businesses that are coming into the city and not the people. Made it very clear tonight. He talked about lost income if we don't get this business. Well, it's income we never had. Let's go back to the income that we already have and use it wisely instead of expecting millions of dollars from a company that hasn't even come. Yes, it would be great if we had it. Your citizens don't want it. Don't use it. Don't take the money. Find something else. Find something that isn't going to harm. You guys talked about the buildings having these sound decibels. How much sound is one building going to make when you put 18 buildings together? You add 4 more buildings to that. That's 22 buildings making the same amount of sound. You know, one building might have its own standards, but 18 to 22, it's going to be loud, no matter what you think. Fighting the citizens just proves that you are not representing the people, you're representing yourselves. The Board of Elections approved the number of signatures. The county attorney used the Ohio Supreme Court ruling to approve the number of signatures. They are the ones that set the rules, not the city council. Because some of you decided to interpret the law yourselves, we followed through with our notice and filed a case with the Ohio Supreme Court, which you guys were served today. There has been a ruling in place for the last 30 years that speaks to this issue. 10% of the electors of the municipality based upon the total number of votes cast at the last preceding general municipal election. That's 128 votes. We collected 334. We collected enough votes. You guys chose to interpret the law your way. The state will decide how they interpret it. It's quite interesting that the father of the mayor, who was also a prior mayor, was given a position as a Trenton Volunteer Firefighter Dependents Fund Board as a resident employee and appointee. Not sure I ever saw this position ever being posted for anybody else to get. Sounds a tad bit like nepotism. I'd like to know if he's getting paid for this position or receiving any benefits. And it's also kind of, I find it a conflict of interest that there's so many family members working together. We have a councilman and his wife, a mayor and his father, especially since this person was very relevant into the bringing in of the data centers. It's obvious to everyone that the previous mayor continues to have influence over everything that goes on in these city council meetings. It's ironic that the city council is using city money to fight the very citizens that they're supposed to be representing. Using money the citizens paid to the city, you're constantly reminding us that the city's always, you're always reminding us that we should be considerate of your time, but you'll take the time and you'll spend the money on what you need and what you want to prove. Tonight, you guys have the ability to
1 minute,
rescind the
please.
decision and approve the petition and save the city quite a bit of money from having to go to the legal way. That's an option. It was mentioned in recent special meeting that there is a concern about legal issues from Pelagius if the project is stopped, which that concerns me because it sounds like you've already made a preemptive deal with them. Like you got the one where you get the one if we give you the second. So it's like you've already made the deal. The devil's deal's already been made. You mentioned that it's typical business practice to allow companies onto the properties to begin prepping the land for the build even before permits are obtained. So since you agreed to this practice, you are the ones to blame if we're sued. It's a council issue, not a citizen issue.
Thank you.
You asked us to come mad. Well, we
Thank
did.
you, ma'am.
Hopefully you realize we're furious.
So I think this is going to be a theme for a little bit. So I will go ahead and explain my vote on the referendum. So when I read through the charter, there are plenty of times that the word elector is used. And when it is used earlier, it says that a city council member has to be a potential elector 1 year before they can take office. But it also says that they don't have to register to vote until 30 days before the election, and it says they are an elector then. So I took that, and then I looked at it and said, all right, so the question is 800 versus the 128. So the first thing I did was I looked, there weren't 800 signatures on there, so I went ahead and used voter and elector interchangeably as well. So I ran through all of the names on that to see how many of them voted in the last election, which is how we were determining if they were an elector or not. And then the numbers still fell short of the numbers needed. So the only way the numbers would work as electors and voters was if you use the term electors to mean people that voted in the last election when you're determining the number, and then used an alternate definition of electors as people eligible to vote once they signed the petition. So for me, the consistency wasn't there. Now, if there were enough people on that petition that voted in the last election to hit that 128 number, I would have voted to put it on. But without changing the definition, there isn't enough signatures either way. As far as that being posted, Stas, it was posted for 2 months when we're talking about my father.
Yeah, it was posted for more than 2 months, and it was publicly available on Facebook, our website. That's all I have to say to that.
No board positions are paid in the city of Benton.
Yeah, and no, except for the,
There may be one grandfathered in member, but no new member, even of the personnel board. It used to have a stipend. Again, maybe one member who's grandfathered, but none of the new members have. And it's $50. $50 a month. Or
and
maybe a year.
I believe are there any other boards open that people want to?
Currently, the only area that we are accepting is the zoning that council has decided to move forward through, but that's about it. We do have other boards that we were discussing, but that can be brought up at a future council meeting.
Okay. And the last thing is when we were talking about, I'll go ahead and address the money issue with it. Our point with showing that was this. Number one, the better deal for the school district and surrounding communities and the people of Trenton is for this to be within the limits. As you're seeing on there, steps are already being taken legislatively by the townships to build this. So for us in the city, here's the question. These things are going in the same soil, the same fields, in the same location, regardless of where the Welcome to Trenton sign is. We've already seen that. We've already seen that with them setting up to use the tax money to improve. We've seen it with talks with taking sewer lines in. We also saw it with electricity. If you remember the Gormans that were here last time, talking about that they had people on Duke's land digging to see where the best place to put a power line is. That's separate from Trenton. No one from Trenton knew they were doing that, nor okayed them to dig on that land. But someone in the county or the township knew that they were doing that. So for us, as with the townships, we have a duty to do the best thing for our citizens. And I understand that it might not be the agreeable thing to have this here. And I understand people might be afraid of it. But as we're looking at it, the question at this point is, where is the Welcome to Trenton sign? And do they pay taxes to Trenton? Or do they pay less taxes to the county and the township? That's based on the township's actions. That's the only question there is. All right, we'll go to Lori Blankenship.
Mr. Perry, I want to thank you. You come to every council meeting. You come to parks board meetings. You come to movies in the park.
I thought it was audience
Thank you
of
for volunteering. I'm speaking.
Hey, it's audience and public. If you're going to go by the rules, it's audience and public.
Stop.
Thank you, Mr. Perry, again.
Wait a minute.
No.
Rules of decorum. Robert's rules. Mayor.
We are a chartered city, I know you say Robert's rules, but we are a charter, and so we can keep going forward. Thank you.
And there was a comment brought up about Mr. Perry serving on a board, so I think it's only fair that he be recognized for his service.
Well, bring up the
And-
Facebook comment too. They call it, tell them to.
Okay, we're stopping right there.
I like you want to bring it up.
We're stopping, Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, please. We're stopping right there and we're getting order back. I want everyone to be here for the whole meeting. So let's keep it. Hey, we're stopping right now. We'll consider this a warning. We're going to follow through with all of the rules like we all have before. And I want everyone to stay in the meeting till the end.
I would like to make a comment about the electric bikes. Maybe I can ask the fire chief back there. Has there been a lot of calls on kids getting hurt on electric bikes?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's good, because in my neighborhood, they're coming down the road, they're doing about 30. And a lot of them are so young, they don't even realize the power they got. But I was just wondering about that. And like she said, they definitely don't need to be in the park. Get on them paths and, like she said, hit kids and things like that. But I was just curious about that, because there are more and more every day. And I live in Day Springs, and man, they come through there. They got helmets on, which I'm glad. But man, they come through there so fast, they're wobbling and everything. They just got that dude wide open. Now, I'm wondering if maybe in the future we might have to have some kind of regulations on those.
I'm not aware of any EMS calls.
That's great. I'm glad.
Police may have.
I'm very glad there ain't been no hurts or accidents. Thank you.
I apologize for all those interruptions.
I can say something about the e-bikes though, because I know we live on First Street and there's that hill there. There's a lot of them that come down that hill on that, and there's electric scooters, and they're little kids and they don't have helmets on, and they are going pretty fast.
Very
down through there.
dangerous, yeah.
I know this is pretty much mirrors a little bit of what Amy had said. We did file that Supreme Court complaint today, and it's centered on the choice to recognize electors versus the definition that Ohio case law had for the past 30 years. I appreciate your explanation. I didn't quite understand it, but I appreciate your explanation. We got the signatures that were verified to us by the Board of Elections. They told us that. They can't check it with the county attorney. Those were the signatures, and that's why we got that amount. The thing that's concerning to me is in order for the city to fight this, they have to expend taxpayer dollars to fight the residents who are the taxpayers. And we're the ones that signed the petition. People signed it because they wanted the ability to vote on this. I have a suggestion. I know there were 2 ordinances that were read on Monday, and my suggestion would be that perhaps the 3 nay votes on the first ordinance would make a motion to rescind the ordinance that was passed on Monday, and then make another motion to approve the ordinance that was tabled indefinitely, and there could be another vote on it. It would prevent Trenton from wasting their money on attorneys when we feel they're going to lose the issue anyway because it's 30-year case law. The last thing I have to say is I attended the commissioners meeting on Tuesday of this week, and we had been here at the city council meetings multiple times talking about that annexation of that property. And we had asked what was going on the property, even though there had been talk on Trenton Talk and a bunch of other things about it. It's going to be an AWS facility, but when we tried to come, nuts to bolts here in the council meeting, we were told that we don't really know what's going to go on the property. When we sat there and the administrator for the commissioner said they were reading it into the record because they had received the petition and they were reading it into the record, and she said it was for an additional 18 data center buildings to go on that property. There was a collective gasp from the tons of people that were in that commission meeting. We don't even know what's going to happen with the 2 buildings that are proposed to be built right now from Prologis. If you add, there's 2, there's going to be 4. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know the generators are exempted from the sound ordinance. So you can put up all the figures that you want about the sound ordinance, but when those generators crank on, that's going to be a whole nother animal. And when you've got 1, 2, 4, 18 more, and there's 22 total on a hot day like today,
the people are the ones that are going to suffer. The money's not going to make a difference because the people are the ones that are going to have to suffer for it. And we've seen slideshows, and I appreciate Mr. Masisklis's, I appreciate the time he took and the time he took to explain it today. But we have seen multiple things over the past, close to a year, including the ones that Prologis presented to us. And none of those have come to fruition. None of them make sense. They have changed over time. So I don't know if this complaint is going to make a difference on the 600 acres that's coming in. But, Mr. Masisklis said he wasn't even positive at the very end if it would or wouldn't make a difference. All I'm saying is, rather than continuing to spend taxpayer money, why don't we vote for it again and see which ordinance would come through? So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Mr. Davis.
Good evening, Mayor Perry and council. Every statement that I've made before this council over the past 3 months has carried one simple theme: transparency. I did not begin this investigation because I oppose economic development. I began because I wanted to understand how decisions that could permanently shape the future of Trenton were being made. And I believe the public deserved that understanding as well. At my last appearance, I began discussing the city's involvement in the Proschel Farms acquisition. As I started referencing emails obtained through public records requests, my time expired before I could make my broader point. Over the past 3 months, I've reviewed the city ordinances, purchase agreements, council actions, and public records. After reviewing those records, I've struggled to reconcile what I found with the understanding I originally had that many of these decisions were occurring at the county level and simply making their way down to the city. Instead, the city's own records reflect a city that was authorizing actions, directing officials, participating in acquisitions, and actively moving forward this project. That brings me back to the question I was unable to ask. If the city played such an active role during the early stages of this project, what discretion did it actually have? What options were available? At what point could the city have altered course or chosen not to move forward? And what legal, contractual, financial, or policy considerations led to that decision? Before my question is answered, I want to be clear. I understand the city's position regarding jobs, investment, and economic growth. That explains a policy objective, but it does not explain the decision-making process. My question is not why the city believed this project would benefit Trenton. My question is how the city reached the point where moving forward became the chosen path. What discretion actually existed, and how was that discretion exercised? The questions I'm asking tonight are based on ordinances, agreements, emails, and records already released by the city. I'm not asking to disclose any confidential negotiations or information protected by law. I'm asking for an explanation of decisions already reflected in the public record. This week's decision regarding the citizen petition for a charter amendment has only reinforced why transparency matters. Whatever the legal outcome or legal arguments that will now be decided elsewhere, many residents now feel they have less influence over decisions that will shape the future of this community. What I find most disheartening is that after 3 months of meetings, research, and public records requests, I am still standing here speaking about the exact same issue I began with the first time I stood here: transparency. Not because I enjoy standing at this podium, but because I still do not believe the public has been given a complete understanding of the city's role in this process. Public trust is not built by asking citizens to simply accept the outcome. It is built by helping them understand how that outcome was reached. That's all I've been asking for the past 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from council? No. So I will tell you the Prologis deal, we looked at it just like any other deal that we've made in the past. They came to us. We signed the agreement. I'm trying to think when. We signed the initial agreement, but we were... Go ahead.
I'll defer to Mr. Nichols.
I cannot recall what the specific date was.
We signed an initial purchase agreement at least 6 months before. And the reason I know that is because it was... I found out about the other deal at another town's council meeting because one of the sellers of the property told me that, hey, I saw the purchase agreement you guys sold. I know who the end user is because I'm under contract with them. That was the first I heard about the bigger deal. Then months went by. Couple months went by, didn't hear anything, and then that's when an executive session, the city of Trenton was brought into the discussion, and the property owners asked that we annex that property in. So the first one, yes, we approached it like any other business, just like Carvana, just like Shape Corp. We took a lot more time with this one than we did with Shape Corp, but just any other business. And then the second one, the wheels were well in motion when we were approached about annexation. So.
And to further clarify, the purchase of the Pro Shell farm by the city of Trenton was to extend our industrial park, not specifically for the purpose of a data center. Much like when we sold 119 acres to Carvana, we acquired 200 acres Summey Farm across the street with the intent of growing the industrial park. That is when Shape Corp purchased 50 acres of land, moved their facility from State Street over there, and then we began to work with Ready Cincinnati and Jobs Ohio to market the 140 acres remaining to businesses and industry for economic development, which is what we have done for the greater part of a decade at this point.
Actually, closer to 20 years.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Glenn.
Here we go. Hi again.
Hello.
It's becoming a ritual now. So, piggybacking off what you just said, could you not have pulled out once you found out who was trying to buy it?
As far as?
The purchase agreement with them? Because under my understanding, if I go to buy a house, I sign a contract. I have so many days. Yeah, I've got to give them some money. But I don't get that house if I want out of that deal. Could y'all not do the same thing? Why was it not done? Once you found out who was going in there, why was we not asked what our opinions was on it? Why was it just went ahead and done it? For one. As for two, do you guys just like people coming in here and yelling at you? Because you just made the biggest thorn in your side of your life. I will be here every meeting at this podium, and I will tell you how horrible you're doing as a committee, because you are completely oblivious to what we want as a community. You're pushing your own agenda, your own way on us that we don't want. Just like Monday's vote, I was at work, I couldn't be here, or I would have been. We spoke up, we told you what we wanted. You work for us, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We put you in that office, and we can damn sure take you out of that office. And things are in the works to get you out of that office, at least 3 of you. And I was going to let it go. There was a comment made. You think I'm a chicken shit? You're fixing to find out how big of a chicken shit I am. Because I will go every step of the way to ruin your political career, your normal career, your integrity, and everything you all stand for. Every bit of it. Because what you done was stabbed us in the back Monday. It's doing this whole deal. You stabbed us in the back. And no, I'm not making a threat. I'm making a goddamn promise.
Hey.
Point blank, period. I will ruin your political career.
Thank you.
My minute's not up. And I'm going to use every last second of it.
Thank you.
My minute's not up.
No, for ruining my political career, because I don't have one.
Well, obviously you think you do sitting up there.
1 minute, sir.
You think you're untouchable? Buddy, guess what laws oversee and take over the states and the counties and your charters? And it's federal. Ask your lawyer how many of them y'all broke, because U.S. Marshals has already been called. Now, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I can say I don't respond well to threats. That's all I've got to say.
That's a promise. I will plaster this town.
Hey, your time's up.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace.
Hello, council. Thank you for letting me talk here tonight. People that are present here today and people that are watching and are attending online. My name is Steve Wallace. I'm a member of the Water Group. I'm also one of the people that was a sponsor of the change of the charter petition. I'm just one of the other members that were listed on the petition. I'll just let you know a little bit about my background. I'm a very proud Navy veteran. I served during Desert Shield and Desert Storm under President Bush. I was already stationed near the conflict when it all happened. I had a top secret clearance, and my command was responsible for communication support for all naval activity in the area. I had gone through security training. I was trained by Marine Corps Security Detachment, which was responsible for protecting the admiral that was stationed within our area. Not only did I perform my regular duty, but my shipmates and I also served as sentry at the gates, checking IDs and performing BOMB checks on vehicles. Didn't want to say the actual word, sorry. And when ATF or whoever show up. While carrying a gun over my shoulder and a .45 in my holster. This was a very special group of people I served with. We all received letters of commendation from Rear Admiral Cressy, who was the commander of the 6th Fleet at the time, for our actions, merits, and extra duty performed. With all that, just give you a little bit. I know a little bit about integrity. And when it comes to protecting my country, the Constitution, and the people back home at the time, and most importantly, the people that I had served with, I still have a strong bond with those individuals, and I talk on occasion with them. I also come from a long line of veterans stretching all the way back to the Revolutionary War and fighting in almost every conflict our country's been involved with. My family on both sides, my mother's and father's sides, has been here since before it was the United States. With myself and the rest of my ancestors, I didn't think that I would have to fight a tyrannical government here domestically. And no, I'm not talking about what happened this past Monday. I'm talking about an event that occurred during the week of July 7th. I'll get back to that in a moment. First, I want to further explain my position here tonight and why I'm addressing you and the entire community. On July 1st, I approached a small business here in town. I asked for their permission to set up a table and chairs to gather signatures for a legal petition, which is a legal act as being a United States citizen and well within my rights to do so. I was accompanied by another lady named Karen that I had just met that day. Her and another lady got out of her car, and she had one of those medical walkers and sat down next to me and helped gather signatures. As you all know, it was blazing hot that day. And I'm so glad that I had brought my fan with me and extra water. Even though she turned down my water and the use of the fan, she was a trooper for sitting there and gathering signatures in that heat. I was impressed. Like me, though, she was passionate about what she was doing, along with many others in our group. So you're probably asking yourself, why are you talking about July 7th earlier, when the parade was on July 2nd? Well, the week after the last council meeting, I learned that on July 7th, around 10 a.m., a certain council member, I won't name because, what is the old saying? Birds of the same feather flock together. I gotta address you guys all the same. Made a visit to this business I was set up at previously to get signatures. He came in asking 2 questions to that small business worker. Who was it that came in here to get permission to set up in our parking lot, in your parking lot? And 2, who was it here that gave permission? I'm respecting that small business that you entered. They asked me to keep their name silent because I have large respect for them. But I am insulted because you going there and asking those questions the way you did, you're insinuating that I did something illegal. The lady working there, which is one of the nicest people I've ever been around, didn't take your bull crap and started asking you questions why the council had a special meeting on a Saturday during Trenton yard sales. You didn't like her comment. So what was the next thing you said? You shouldn't make people, quote, you shouldn't make people angry because it wouldn't be good for business, unquote.
1 minute, sir.
But you didn't stop at this local business. You went to Barn and Bunk and tried to do the same thing. What did they tell you in so many words? They told you to go kick rocks, didn't they? So tell me, how do you have the right to question anyone about something that was legal? Are you some kind of enforcement agency? There was no law broke. When did you become a detective? How is any of this your business? This is very unethical for any council person in any state, any city or state. And you are out of bounds on this one. And since you know who it is, what about it? Here I am. What was you going to do about it? So you're about the most hypocritical person I've ever met in my entire life, and I'll keep the name to myself for now.
Thank you, sir.
I'll respond to that. First of all, I have no problem telling you that I was the one who walked into that business and asked that question.
Oh, you were.
And I don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go.
It's my turn to speak now. I've been in that business, I don't know how many times. Talked to that same lady, I don't know how many times, about city issues. They've asked me questions when I've walked in there as a customer, okay? And I've been happy to stand there and answer their questions, as I did that day. I simply asked her if the group had permission to set up on their property. Because
Sir.
I feel that if a group is setting up on their property, if they've got permission, no problem, okay? But if a group is setting up on their property without permission, that could impact their business because, you never know how many people are against what's being asked there in that booth, okay?
But we know.
No.
Sir, both of you.
Let me
Well,
speak.
okay, one of you. I'm sorry you were
Okay.
coming. That's my bad.
Now I've been accused of terrorizing them, threatening them, everything else. I ask a simple question, and then
That's how they feel.
and then
If that's the case, then you need
let
to
me
go
speak, please.
Sir.
And then she asked me several questions, which I was more than willing to answer.
I got you on video.
That's fine, because I've got nothing to hide. I've told this group time and time again. You may not like my answers, but it'll be the truth. Okay? I went
right.
in, I asked one simple question, and then I answered several of her questions. Okay? I explained to her that that special meeting was called on a Saturday because that's when we could get the most council members together, because most of the people sitting here have jobs. Okay? It's hard to get 7 of us together at different times. Okay? It's that simple of explanation. Okay?
That's not your business.
The fact
I was within my legal right.
you were. Of course you were, and so was I. I simply asked her a question, the same as she's asked me questions about the city on multiple occasions when I just went in there as a customer, not as a council member.
Let's
Okay?
let's stop. Let's stop. Sir,
And I have never approached anyone at Barn and Bunk. Okay? So that's a flat out lie. I have never approached anyone at Barn and Bunk, asked them anything about any of their petition signings or anything else. Okay? I know Tom Theobald well enough to know if anyone's set up there, they have permission.
Sir, please. Sir, please.
I haven't talked to Tom Theobald about anything to do with the city, I'll bet in a year.
So you're calling him a liar?
If he told you that, he was misunderstood or something. I don't know.
Sir, I have the
I'm done. I'm out. I'm going. I can't take this anymore. You're full of crap.
Well, if you don't want to hear the truth, that's fine.
Sir, let's stop this back and forth with both of you. That's all right. We'll move on to Trenton citizens. We'll take a couple Trenton citizens, so please step up to the podium, state your name and address.
Council, Mayor, Donald Lefevre. I have one question. Well, let me, this may be not my position, but you said that you had a right to go in there and ask a question. Would you have done that if it was Girl Scouts sitting outside? Or a lemonade stand?
Let's go to
That's it.
Council and Jen. Okay.
I would have if it was any other political.
Wait till we're
Okay.
finished with it.
Mayor, council, tonight I will be brief. We've seen you move quickly when it's something that you want. We've seen you hire attorneys, push agendas forward at rapid speed, and spend taxpayers' money defending your decisions. Imagine what this community could accomplish if local government and your constituents joined together. Create a town that all of us would love to be part of and proud of. Lastly, why can't you fight as hard for your constituents as you fight against us? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything? All right, one more for the city of Trenton, and then we'll take a couple general public.
Chad, Clear Drive. So I'm coming in tonight because I'm disappointed about the vote on Monday. I signed the petition. I feel like you guys voted on a technicality. That's what it seemed like. Threw it out because of a technicality. If it's true that by case law, we met the signatures, that should be justified. And when you're talking about a couple votes, I mean, you're just talking about the ability of the citizens to vote. What is so scary about the citizens being able to vote, whether they want it or not? I mean, even if it wasn't enough signatures, why do you not want the citizens to vote? If you're so confident that it's the best thing for the citizens, why not just throw it on the ballot? And why do we have to pay for it now to fight ourselves? It doesn't make any sense. I've lost faith in this council. I voted for this council. I don't think you're listening to us. And I think that when you talk about we approached it like any other business, it's not like any other business. The infrastructure cost, the increase of cost onto me and anyone else here is extreme. I mean, you talked about the substation going in, Duke Energy put in. Who do you think paid for that? I've seen my electric bill gone up the last 5 years. Why? I don't know, but I can take a guess. Water tower going in conveniently. Maybe it was on the book for years, but it just seems a little too inconvenient that it's going in when a data center is going in. I don't like it. It seems like it seems to me as a citizen, underhanded. It seems like there is a lack of transparency, especially when you have all these meetings where you guys are talking about a bunch of stuff that we don't know about, which I know that under the law you're allowed to, but I mean, you're using our tax dollars and you work for us. And I know there's certain things that you're not allowed to say, but it seems like an excuse to say a lot of stuff that we can't see. So I just don't like it. I've lost faith in this council, and I just want that to be said. So, yeah.
Thank you. I do want to add that none of the substation that was built on Miller's property was built for Shape Corp. The one that is being built behind Duke is 100% funded by Prologis. And then also with the AWS deal, 100% of their electric structure will be paid for by them, and then they'll turn that over to Duke. I do know that when it comes to the sewer, I think I can say that for sewer, that'll go through the county. The county has said 100% will be paid by them, including keeping the same capacity that they have now. AWS and Duke have signed the agreement. President Trump's
Ratepayer Protection Pledge.
The Ratepayer Protection Pledge that says that they will pay for all of the infrastructure upgrades that they have. They will also pay the same amount for their electric. So AWS agreed to that, and then Duke said that they would hold everybody to that. And I want to say this as well. I understand that it's just a pledge. It's not held by law, but I would like AWS to add that if they come into the city, that it be something with actual backing and some ramifications if they do not pay, number one, 100% of their electricity bill. Number two, also 100% of their water and any upgrades that will have to happen because of that. I don't want any. I mean, we saw the deal up there. I want that to be written in our deal if they're annexed in. I don't think there's any reason that, despite the pledge, our citizens should bear any cost whatsoever associated with this. I know in the past we have given some deals with, like, hookups with sewer. We gave to Shape, I believe.
We did not give them a discount.
Oh, okay.
Connection fee.
I'm sorry. I thought we did. We have not, in the past, given discounts for connection fees. We did put in the infrastructure for those.
Yeah, we installed our sewer on our property.
Yeah, when it was our property, we did install our sewer on that before any of those buildings were built. But considering that this is going to be a large facility, I don't want any of us to pay the burden of it. And then on top of that, I don't want any rates to increase based on this center being here. It should be in any agreement we have, and it should protect our people.
I will also add that the state is considering a blanket. They call it a tariff. It's not the same thing as a tariff, but as far as utilities are concerned, it is a charge that is not a tax, but it is a requirement of the customer of the utility. AEP Energy actually paved the way for this. They instituted an 80% capacity charge on any of their large users. So basically, if you reserve, 2 megawatts or 2 gigawatts of electricity, you have to pay 80% of that, whether or not you use 1 gigawatt or 2 or half a gigawatt. You have to pay as if you're getting 80% of that bill. So AEP has already instituted that. It seems that Duke institutes that on a case-by-case basis, but the state is currently in the process of making that a statewide utility deal, that they have to pay 80% of their normal full capacity bill as if they're using 80% of their full capacity, no matter what they use.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was thrown out that whatever unused they don't have goes back into the grid at a discount price. I saw that somewhere. I'm trying to remember. I was reading a.
That is a PUCO, that's kind of their like aggregate energy. I think that is how it works, but yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance yet, there was a speech by the president concerning data centers and the electric and everything else. I'm not taking bigger politics and saying that I fully agree with some of the things he said during the speech, but that did happen. And I would urge you as well to look at the plan that was put out, I think it was today or yesterday, by Vivek Ramaswamy, when it deals with power, when it deals with data centers, and what would happen with the taxes that they pay. All right, and we will take a couple people from anyone in the general public.
Gary Embry of 2029 Wayne Madison Road, Woodsdale. I've been here several times. First of all, commend our finance director for keeping us informed about all the money and all that stuff's involved so we can understand that. It seems like from day one, I've been coming here for the last 8 months, that the data center thing obviously has split the community. It has, and it's got ugly, and I hate that. I'm a non-confrontational person. But since when did life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness become for sale? Because all I hear is about the money, 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 money. And I understand it takes money to do a lot of things. Our little community of Woodsdale, you're annexing 2 properties. My house is going to be impacted by both of them. 27 years, my wife and I have gave our life to that property. I've been to St. Clair Township's meetings. I've been to Madison Townships. I've been to Columbus to one of the state meetings up there. I have been to New Albany twice. I've been there in the daytime, and I've been there at nighttime. And Mayor Perry, you told me that the traffic problem, the highways, will be taken care of by AWS, and they can fix that. I've been to those roads up there in New Albany. They're still country roads, the same as Wayne Madison is. There isn't anything improved, anything any wider, anything else. I saw when you talk about their landscaping, that's a joke. There's small trees and stuff like that. They're not going to, whatever their purpose is, I don't understand. Now, I have a neighbor lives farm behind me. He's been approached to sell 6 acres of his property. For what reason, they wouldn't tell him, okay? Now, if they're going to make improvements to Wayne Madison Road to help this traffic, are they going to come right through Woodsdale and affect all these people's properties, all these houses? You know, we don't have a vote in Trenton because we don't live there. Or is there going to be a road come right through where I live to go around? And by the way, the Rapier property has this big old hill. They're not going to build nothing on that hill, but maybe a road. So you're going to put Trenton all the way around Woodsdale, but what benefit are we getting? Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to just say that the point of that slideshow wasn't solely about the money. It was to show, as we've said in the past, that plans are being made all around the area for this. That this isn't a Trenton doesn't annex it in so it doesn't happen. Those improvements showed that both townships are preparing for this development. So at the end of the day, it is, where is the welcome to Trenton sign at? Go ahead. Yep.
Erica Updike, Liberty Township resident, within 4 miles of this proposed data center. Data centers, allegedly. I wonder if so much of this information that the council is based on even 6 to 9 months ago, before the residents of this town, this county, and this state caught wind of the absolute grift that's happening and began to push back. Perhaps it's the people in charge who need to readjust their expectations. Yeah, nobody was participating in meetings because nobody knew about it. It wasn't like this council from the first meeting with anything that had to do with this data center project. It's not like, hey, this is what we're planning, we're gonna start here. No, everyone figured it out probably 20 meetings later. That's not transparency. We keep using, we as in council keep using the word improvement. Improvement isn't destroying our environment. Improvement isn't dividing your city. Improvement isn't taking money from corporations so they can do whatever they want to the land. The blind trust some council as a whole to think that companies like AWS or any of the other AI companies, to think that they will even pay attention to say, oh, no, you took too much water, you raised our rates. They will treat you, council and city, like you are currently treating the residents. Do you think they will listen to you? No. Do you know how much money they make? What is a couple $1,000 fine going to do? They already have the land. They already have what they came for. They're not going to listen. Again, what is considered an improvement, widening the roads through Woodsdale, can you think ahead to what that looks like? That destroys Woodsdale. What does that look like to the homeowners through Woodsdale? What does that look like to the historic properties through Woodsdale? City of Trenton, now that you have entered the real estate market and continue to purchase land, you are the owner of some historic properties. So the Supreme Court also upholds that owners of historic properties do have a duty to protect that for the good of the community. We haven't seen that yet. The money that we keep claiming that schools are going to get, the state will eventually exempt that funding, and then it'll balance back out. So then what? Driving young families away from this city, all of you that are older that don't have children in schools, what does that do? That puts more pressure on all of you that don't have children. You're cutting yourself off at the knees because the tax dollars from the younger generations aren't going to be here. Do you think people are going to stay here when this is all heavy industrial? I appreciate the proposed wetlands project is stunning. It is very interesting. There's some really great funding that comes with that, but some crucial details were left out. To the north of the property, you left out of the drawings all the generators and the pollution that will negatively affect all of that environmental progress that will be made. Who's going to go bird watching next to all the generators? No one. Who's going to take their kids to go hang out in a park next to the generators? No one. So then what's the point? Circling back to historic properties, admittedly, is a fun thing that I like to research, mostly because I've realized of how many now Revolutionary War veterans I'm a descendant of. To think that my ancestors fought for this country, some of them weren't even, some of them were from other countries, and they came over to this country to fight and then stayed and helped to develop this county, these townships. To think that I'm going to sit down quietly while communities around me take money from AI companies that continue to just infiltrate my children. If none of you have kids,
1 minute, please.
Trying to keep the very creepy and invasive artificial intelligence away from children is a daily task. That the companies that you, council or city, are trying to hand over, it's just, I don't understand. My point, again, as an old house nerd, this is just three books that I have in my own personal collection of local history books. Now that I know that one of my ancestors was a neighbor across the street from the Flenner family, part of the Rapier property that would arguably be destroyed in this annexation. Please expect a pushback from all directions possible. That is an even more historic property. It ties to one of the early mayors of Cincinnati, who built the Taft Museum. There are family members buried on that property in unmarked graves, so that will also take some time. Please also understand, for those that are watching and listening here, free speech includes profanity. Y'all might not like it. That's a you problem. You may clutch the pearls when someone cusses. That doesn't restrict anyone from saying it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And I will say absolutely, profanity is protected by free speech, as you said at the beginning of every meeting. And even though some don't like it, that's how it is. Mr. Perry, I'm sorry, we were allowing 2 more people.
What I got to say, I just want to thank the people for the,
Hold on, we were said 2 more people, so I'm sorry.
no problem. I'll just go down.
All right. Move on to unfinished business. I will entertain a motion that we read unfinished business 1 through 4 by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilwoman Butts. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Prophet?
Yay.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay. Mr. Zipfel, please pause for voting after.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1, a resolution adopting a statement of services. The City of Trenton, Ohio will provide to the proposed annexation into the City of Trenton, Ohio of 601.589 plus or minus acres of land located in St. Clair Township and Madison Township, Butler County, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Zipfel. I'll entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilwoman Montgomery. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Prophet?
Yay.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Abstain.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay.
Item 2, a resolution consenting to the annexation of the City of Trenton, Ohio, certain territory proposed to be so annexed. Pursuant to an annexation petition filed with the Board of County Commissioners of Butler County, Ohio, as provided for in Ohio Revised Code Section 709.024, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Zipfel. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Butts and Councilman Prophet. Roll call, please.
Ms. Butts?
Nay.
Mr. Prophet?
Nay.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Nay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay. Number 3. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Zipfel.
Item 3, a resolution amending the City of Trenton classification scale and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Zipfel. I'll entertain a motion that we approve.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilwoman Montgomery. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Prophet?
Yay.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay.
Item 4, a resolution authorizing and directing the city manager to sign a petition for the organization of the Trenton Square Community Authority on behalf of the City of Trenton as the sole proximate city within the meaning of Section 349.01M of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Zipfel. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilwoman Montgomery. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher?
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yay.
Mr. Prophet?
Yay.
Mr. Nichols?
Yay.
Ms. Butts?
Yay.
Mr. Rourke?
Yay.
Mayor Perry?
Yay. All right, new business. Number 1 is a motion to appoint Dale Perry to serve on the Trenton Volunteer Firefighter Dependents Fund Board as a resident appointee for a term ending December 31st, 2026.
I have a question, please. Mr. Belford has Anybody else that applied for this?
No, Mr. Perry was the only application, and he reached out about a week ago, and we've had that application date open from June 3rd,
And how long was this online?
about 2 months.
And this is a voluntary position, correct? Unpaid?
Correct, it's unpaid, and it's only to Trenton residents.
Thank you.
I do want to say that to echo something I said before when a lot of this started, that I have put up all of my board positions. Currently, I think I'm only on CIC. So I would like to put up my CIC again. The last time I put it up, there were no applicants. But I would also like to put up my CIC board position if anybody would like that one. So go ahead and put that one online for
Will do.
CIC. All right. I will entertain a motion to appoint
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Croucher and Councilman Nichols. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Croucher,
Yay.
Mr. Nichols,
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yay.
Mr. Prophet,
Yay.
Ms. Butts,
Yay.
Mr. Rourke,
Yay.
Mayor Perry.
Abstain. All right. Legislation. I will entertain a motion that we read item 1 under legislation by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Nichols and Vice Mayor Croucher. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nichols,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Croucher,
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yay.
Mr. Prophet,
Yay.
Ms. Butts,
Yay.
Mr. Rourke,
Yay.
Mayor Perry.
Yay. Mr. Zipfel.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real property and improvements located at 5721 Kennel Road, City of Trenton, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Zipfel. We will go on to reports and we'll stay with you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no reports.
Thank you, Mr. Beresford.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one report, and that is our Hometown Hero Banner program. So there's been a lot of interest about that. We finally got polls approved by Duke. So those applications will open September 1st, and they will close the 25th. The last batch of hometown banners that were put up, they were put up around January, so we expect that timeline. Additionally, at the staff meeting, we discussed about the polls that were at Trenton Square. So as you've noticed, there are light poles that are being put in, and we have to wait for those to be finalized and settled down. So that will be within about a year. So we do expect to put up hometown banners during that next batch. So that will probably be about a year from now. So if there isn't an opportunity to put in a banner at this batch, then there will also be an opportunity for then.
Thank you, Mr. Beresford. Do we know how many that'll be?
At Trenton Square, I do not have that number. I can provide a report to council and at the next council meeting.
Yep, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. City Manager Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor Perry. I have no reports this evening.
Thank you. Financial Director Masisklis.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to audience of council, and we'll start with you, Mr. Prophet.
No reports.
Thank you. Councilman Rourke.
Well, I'd like to share why I voted nay on the last, on the petition for it to be put on the ballot. When I was found out that, you might have to help me, Mr. Ziff, it was out of 5 judges, 3 against 2, as far as considering electoral as the ones that voted in the last election.
Yeah.
That was good enough for me. That's why I think that it should have been put on the ballot and let the people vote. Because there's another side of that quarter. If it didn't get voted, then a lot of people realize that they weren't really speaking for the whole city of Trenton. But the main important thing is to let the people vote, and that's. I do a mistake. I look at Trenton Talk sometimes, and I've been called a politician. I'm not a politician. I'm 65 years old. I've been married to the same woman for 46 years. I have 2 kids, had 2 grandbabies out here. Every morning I get up and go to work. I have my own business I've had for 33 years under my name. I'm not a politician. I'm somebody that wants to get involved with the city that I love and do what I can for the city and for the residents. And I just wanted to bring that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Butts?
I believe it's common knowledge that I also agree with you that it should have been able to go to a vote. All they're asking is to be able to have a say. And procedurally, I'm asking this of you. I don't know the procedure. Is it permissible for us to make a motion to rescind that and vote again?
That would be a Mr. Zipfel
I'm
question.
thinking it weird, so I understand what the question.
I see the wheels turning.
Yeah,
Even if we did, it's past the deadline to file it.
it is past the deadline to file. It's not going to modify that in that respect.
So at this point, we have to move forward with spending taxpayers' money to fight them.
The Board of Elections, they have their statutory deadline.
I have a home, I have a roof over my head, that God has provided for me. And I am going to continue to do what God told me to do 5 years ago, which was run for city council. And he told me to do it again, and I did it again. I'm here. I'm not going anymore.
Thank you. Councilman Nichols?
Just to clarify a couple of things. Someone asked before if I would ask that business if they gave permission to set up a booth on their property if it was some other organization. And I said if it was political. The reason I said that was because everybody sitting up here that's taking signs out when we were running for office and such knows it's best not to approach businesses about political issues. Okay? Because if you do, you're alienating 50% of the people a lot of times. And we do not want to affect our businesses with that. That's the reason I said that. Yeah, if it's Girl Scouts, who's going to get upset about them setting up something? Nobody. But if it's political, someone's going to get upset about it. Okay? I have no problem with you guys setting up anywhere you have permission to set up. Okay? That's not the issue. Had they said, no, we didn't give permission, my intent was to simply talk to Barry or one of the representatives of the Water Group and say, if you're going to set up on a business, please be sure you have properties owner's permission. That was my only intent. Okay? And like I said, I've gone into that business a lot of times because trust me, I like their product. I won't even mention their product because I don't want to involve them any more than they have been. And they've on numerous occasions asked me questions about the city, and I've taken my time and stood there and answered their questions, even though I went in there as a customer, not as a council member. So this kind of works both ways. It's like you keep screaming, it's a transparency issue. Yeah. If they have a right to ask their customers questions about the city, then their customers should have the right to ask them questions about their business. I mean, it's that simple.
Let's stop.
It's just my time now. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. And as far as I will talk to Tom Theobald, okay, because his name was mentioned. I have never approached Tom Theobald about anything he's ever done on his property. Okay, and I don't even ask Tom for permission to put one of my political signs on his property when I ran for election. For the simple fact that, like I just stated, I don't want to involve any businesses in the political arguments. Okay, it's that simple. As far as the comments that we don't care about the people in this town, a big part of our conversations and our deliberations on these whole deals with the data centers has been to make sure the schools were of benefit too. That's been one of our biggest concerns. We want the city to come out ahead, but we want our schools to come out ahead on the deal too. We're thinking about the residents of this city, in different ways on this deal too. We're not totally ignoring them. Also, for anyone to sit here and say that we're not representing our people, you don't know that because you don't really know how many people in this community.
Let's stop.
You don't know how many people are on our side on this issue. I got I
If we would
got,
have put it to a vote, we would have found out.
I got,
Mr. Prophet. Mr. Prophet.
okay. I got 2 emails in the last 2 days from citizens thanking us for what we're doing and saying they're 100% behind us.
Let's stop. All right. Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Nichols. Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
I've got more. I just don't understand how someone can be against our city trying to improve our financial status. When we bought that property, like Mr. Nichols said, we didn't know what was going in there when we bought that property. Okay, it was bought and it was zoned industrial. And that's what our comprehensive plan calls for, is that area to be industrial. Okay. Now, as far as why I voted the way I did Monday night, I took an oath to defend our charter. Our charter says that it has to be 10% of the electors of this city. And it references a specific article of the Ohio Constitution, which is Article 18, Section 9, which says basically the same thing. It says the electors of the city. It says nothing about 10% of the people who voted in the last election. Now, there is an article in the Ohio Constitution that says that. Okay? That's where the part of the conflict comes in, because the Ohio Constitution actually has 2 articles that conflict. Okay? There's no doubt about that. Okay? But our charter specifically does not reference the one that says 10% of the people who voted in the last election. If that was the case, then when we put a new tax levy on, or if we put a charter amendment on, or any other thing on the ballot, if you're defining electors that way, only the people who voted in the last election would be allowed to vote, which makes no sense to me. Okay? That's why I voted the way I did. On a little bit happier note, went a little while ago and picked up 20 pounds of popcorn for Saturday night for the movie. So anybody that's able to come out for the movie Saturday night will be there. Everybody will be having a good time. We won't have all this arguments and fights. We'll all be having a good time. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Croucher.
Thank you, Mayor Ferry. It will be a busy weekend in the city of Trenton. You got movies in the park on Saturday. The movie is David. Be there at sundown, about dusk actually, to see the movie. Come out and enjoy the splash pad if the weather permits. I would like to recognize a local business in Trenton. A local business, Shape Corporation, recently achieved a historical milestone. Shape Manufacturing Parts traveled to space aboard SpaceX Starship 13 flight, tested on July 23rd, about 6:45 p.m. On behalf of the Trenton City Council and I extend congratulations to all of the team at Shape Corporation for their achievement, and only made possible by their hard work, dedication, determination, involvement, and leading manufacturing industry into the future. I would like to recognize Shape for their milestone. That is really something I feel, to have parts manufactured here in town, traveling into space. I'm very proud of Shape Corporation, and they are planning on growing here in Trenton. I was sitting back the other day having coffee in the morning, and I was watching the news. And a very interesting news article came across my television screen, which made me go to another television station to see if it was on, and it wasn't on. But I went to PBS, Public Broadcasting Station. Matthew, would you please play that for me? Now, if you got Trump arrangement syndrome, you're not going to like this.
That's not a thing.
Just let me know.
That's not a thing.
like your haircut, Matthew. Just get
My wife. Free.
Really?
Can you get it?
My wife.
No, they're getting it.
While we're waiting, I would like to thank Pastor Keith for showing up and praying tonight at our meeting.
You done with comments after this?
I guess over 72 billion profit. They've also agreed to invest heavily in local communities.
Ma'am, this is his time.
Supporting job training and
This is his time.
they're really spending a tremendous amount of money. In other words, the governors in the room, you have great governors in this room, and these companies are spending tremendous amounts of money on the communities, the local communities. So I think it's important that we tell the local communities that, because other nations are trying to get us to slow down, and they're spending a lot of money on propaganda, on press, PR, trying to convince everybody that this isn't a positive thing. And if we don't do this, we're going to be left behind. And even communities compared to other communities, you have some communities that really want this. This isn't all negative stuff. You have communities that really want the data centers. And frankly, those are the smart communities, because it means tremendous numbers of jobs, very little actual disruption. And the ones that don't want it, the happiest people in the world are foreign countries, number one, and number two, other communities within our country, because they're begging for them to be there. And some of them are great communities, very, very forward-looking communities, very smart communities. Since I introduced this plan just a few months ago, more than 220 utilities.
This is Mr. Croucher's time, please.
Other partners have signed our ratepayer protection pledge. Electricity rates for 80% of the power distributed in America are now being kept. And you probably had some negative stuff, a little heat. Oh, we don't want a data center. Usually those are the people that actually want them, and they'd like you not to build them. Because you know what? If it doesn't go to you, and if it doesn't go to Georgia, as an example, it's going to go someplace else. And those people are very happy to get them too, the smart people. American Electric Power now projects that their customers will enjoy as much as $16 billion in cost offsets for consumers thanks to their data center contracts. $16 billion. So think of that. That's cost offsets. In Iowa, Alliant Energy data center deals. Where are you, Alliant? Alliant, where are you? Are you here? Thank you. Data center deals are allowing them to freeze electric rates for consumers for at least 5 years. So your rates are going to stay the same or lower. In Louisiana, there's a guy looks like he's from Louisiana to me. Public school teachers in so think of that, Richland Parish are getting as much as $50,000 in bonuses this year thanks to a $27 billion project by Meta that will also save local residents $2.6 billion on their electricity bills. Their electricity is going down. That's big stuff, Mr. Governor, right? You didn't have any doubt about it. He's a governor doing a great job. Some really great governors in this room. With the ratepayer protection pledge, we're creating a fair deal for everybody. This is how we'll grow our economy, lower the cost of living, protect American consumers, and lead the world in AI and high tech, all at the same time. We want to lead the world. And it is said, if you come in second, you're going to be second overall, because there's never been anything big like this. There's never been any, like in Georgia,
Why are we not having a time limit here?
create numbers like you've created.
We have a time limit for
There's no
them.
other thing. You can do 100 different deals, 100. It is nothing close to what.
y'all can use this.
And why? They put a big gorgeous new plant. It's a big deal.
This is
It's so,
this is the end. This is your last warning, sir.
there are some who would like to
Please.
lead us down the opposite path.
Please. Him. Please escort him out.
Was asked questions.
No, because it's not your time.
This motherfucking cow. Yeah, I'm going home.
Okay. Number one, this is Mr. Croucher's time. Number two, if council will remember, I asked council if they would like to limit time for council to 3 minutes when we had the initial talk about limiting time. I was told by all of council they didn't want to limit their own time. So that was from all of council said that we don't wish to limit our time. So
This is not council.
this is
that we don't want to watch.
this is Mr. Croucher's time that I don't dictate what he puts up here.
Oh my lord! So you can play
This will be
that you want.
this is your last warning.
Fine. I can leave with no problem.
Thank you.
Because there's never been anything big like this. There's never been any, like in Georgia, there's no other thing you can do to create numbers like you've created, Brian. Both of you, there's no other thing. You can do 100 different deals, 100. It is nothing close to what you've been able to do. And why? They put a big, gorgeous new plant in a certain location. Big deal. It's so.
All right, I think we've got the point.
There's.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion.
So with that, I would like to say this, council, when we first took that vote and I asked you guys what you would like to do to limit talk, do we want to now limit council members to 3 minutes?
No, we
Yes.
want, I'd like to limit video on TV as we did tonight. I don't think that's necessary.
I am asking, do we want to limit council members to 3 minutes? Because that was the original plan when we discussed it. And I don't remember it was unanimous, but I remember there wasn't that many people that said no. And now we're calling for that 3 minutes to be limited.
I'm for 3 minutes
Do
limit.
we want to?
We have not put a specific time limit on the residents or non-residents to speak.
That is true.
We haven't.
It was
we haven't
suggested.
been timing anyone.
Yes, you have. You have 1 minute.
No, well,
He says
You have
that.
1 minute.
we have asked them to finish up in 1 minute when they are going over basically.
So I'm asking council right now during my time, are we going to limit everyone to 3 minutes?
I would like for us to be limited 3 minutes and not have things like that.
That's not a council person speaking.
Exactly.
That was his reference. So we're going to limit everyone to 3 minutes. Is that what we're asking?
Yes. I second that.
Yep. So that will be audience and council will be limited to 3 minutes. Okay. Mr. Zipfel, would we go ahead and put that as 3 minute limit on everyone then?
It's crazy.
That's just a choice for the council.
Okay. As
That's a choice for council.
As the mayor, I control the decorum of the meeting, and here's what it's going to be from now on. We will do 3 minutes for council and for all public to speaking. We will, Stas, will you please get a timer? What we'll do is we'll put it up and we'll make it so that it's official time. Yeah, we'll put it on the TV, and then that way everyone can see how much time there is. All right.
Thank you, Mayor Perry, that's all.
Thank you. So,
Oh my gosh.
as I said before, and I started this out, and what we put up there earlier is this. Ma'am, please. Here's the decision this council was put in. We were approached to annex property that was already being talked about becoming a data center. In fact, we were approached by the property owner telling us long before any of these meetings that he had entered into a purchase agreement for it. He even told the price per acre. And then what it was we were approached to annex it in. We started the annexation process, and as you can see, we have been in negotiations with the township and the county for a very long time. And I have kept everyone here abreast of everything that happened with those negotiations, and everyone knew that we were negotiating. Now we're to the point where the townships have prepared to put this in without the city of Trenton. So right now what we're looking at is this. We're looking at data centers either right outside of Trenton, in the townships, or not in Trenton. And for me, this is what I look at. So Miller Brewery never approached the city of Trenton to annex in. But let's pretend that they did. So the people of Trenton, when Miller was going to build, were horrified at having that brewery here. That the whole place was going to smell like beer. That it wouldn't do anything. People would be drunk walking the streets. I mean, I remember that you told me plenty of times that you had that same thing. Now, let's think about this. If Miller Brewery offered to annex into the city of Trenton and the council said no, we don't want you in here because you produce beer. Now, how many years are we from that? How many years have they been out there in the county? They have over 600 trucks a day that go in and out of that. All of them use Trenton roads. None of their employees or anything else pay taxes to the city of Trenton. I want to ask you this. If that council had the ability to annex that in, knowing where it was going to go regardless of their decision, what would you think of that council now that they lost millions of dollars in revenue for the city on something that, in the end, there were a lot of fears that were unfounded? And I'm not saying these fears aren't going to be founded. What I'm saying is there's no way for the city of Trenton residents where it's going to go to avoid those fears, whether they're founded or not. So even if it made the whole city smell like beer, even if it destroyed the roads with their trucks, it was going to happen either way. For me, looking at that, those council members would have made the wrong decision. And I'm not saying that Miller's bad for the community. What I'm saying is all those trucks per day create a lot of traffic. You know that. There's a lot of traffic that's going up and down the roads from those trucks. Miller produces, I won't say a lot, but they produce pollutants just like anyone else does. They pump water directly out of the aquifer at 2.5 million gallons a day. And that was going to happen whether they were in Trenton or not. So for us, what we're looking at this is we've seen what's going to happen, and the townships have made that apparent what's going to happen. Should we let that move in, knowing that we're going to see those workers here, knowing that those facilities are going to do what they're going to do regardless? but let it be right outside the Welcome to Trenton sign. Where now, looking at this, the schools get substantially less. They don't go to their local infrastructure like they could. They still have things going in and out, not as many as Miller, but they will. They can drill wells. Not saying that they will, but they can drill wells on that property. And there's no guarantee that they're going to pay for all the infrastructure upgrades like we have promised we will make them do. I mean, we've already saw that it's going to be TIFed. If that property is TIFed, can those townships use that TIF money to improve the infrastructure that they're going to need for that facility?
They would likely go the traditional TIF route in which the townships would, I'm not going to put words into their strategy. However, I will say the overall TIF strategy is to issue a debt up front, a large portion of debt up front. And then over the 10 years that the TIF is collecting, they repay that debt. That is how traditional TIF infrastructure funding works. They don't have the money right now. The townships don't. They go out to bondholders. They sell whatever 30 million bonds, saying, "Okay, this is the company. These are the values that they have attested to. This is the company that's coming in. Bondholders, will you buy our debt?" Money changes hands. The townships get paid. Then the townships pay out of that new debt their infrastructure. They are repaid from the service payments over the 10-year period. Usually it's just retirement funds. It's everyone. People can buy their own coupons. Actually, I have one of the initial bonds that back when it was public sale. I have the initial bond of this building in my office. It's pretty cool. But no, just banks, retirement funds, everyone, really, the public, the market.
So my thing is this. I understand that there's a fear of data centers. I understand that there's a fear of AI. I don't really like them that much either. I, in fact, don't really do social media or any of that anymore. I very rarely shop on Amazon. I don't really do a lot of tech things anyway. And I realize everyone is afraid of what's going on with the world. It's changing very quickly, and probably too quickly for us to be able to adjust. But what I'm telling you is that whether this is in Trenton or whether it's in the townships, it's not going to stop the fears that you have, because the only difference will be what their address is. And in fact, it might not even be that, because Miller still says that they're in Trenton, Ohio. So that is the only thing that is going to change, is where the revenue goes. But honestly, I feel you with all of your concerns that you have. It's not like I'm just wiping your concerns out, but those concerns will be there regardless of the address of this facility. And I know that's a very disheartening thought, to be honest with you. I get it 100%. But with that, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn tonight's proceedings.
So move.
Second.
Councilman Rourke and Councilwoman Butts. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rourke.
Yay.
Ms. Butts.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Croucher.
Yay.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yay.
Mr. Prophet. Mr. Nichols.
Yay.
Mayor Perry.
Yay. We are adjourned at 9:39 p.m.